Hey everyone, Regal Reviews here. It is White Rice Wednesday, which means it's time for my Survivor recap. So to recap on tonight's episode, it was pretty freaking epic if you ask me. We come back from the Desiree vote and Dominic mentions how that tribal, it was very hard to tell who was telling the truth and who was lying. I don't think it would have been that hard considering Laurel's been your one of your closest allies this whole time. So I would think that Dominic would be more inclined to think that Laurel's telling the truth. And Laurel then feels pretty good in her lines because obviously in the end they all ended up believing her over Desiree. And with Wendell, he says the best strategy is to not let people know that Laurel and Donathan are their closest allies because Laurel and Donathan have been loyal to Wendell and Dominic this whole time, and they don't want it to appear like they're in the same alliance because then that can cause problems for them in all their games. Dominic and Wendell then have a talk about the game, and Dominic and Wendell have been probably the closest alliance this whole game, but Dominic did mention how if it came down to it, he is prepared to take Wendell out if it means that, like, if it would interfere with his game or his chances of winning the $1,000,000. So, yeah, I'm wondering. I still think that Dominic will remain loyal to Wendell. Then Dominic then believes there's another idol out there, so freaking Dominic goes out there and searches for an idol, and he finds an idol, and it is David's fake idol from Millennials versus Gen X season, the one that David created to send Jay home. And apparently, the idol hasn't matured into a regular idol, so Dominic can't use it to can't use it as an idol, but it is still a fake idol, so he could use it to fool somebody else. So Dominic decides to then put the idol back where it was to hopefully fool someone. So the immunity challenge was the twist in this episode because it's double immunity. And we've seen double immunity before, so that's nothing out of the ordinary. But it's a double tribal council tonight. Basically, what will happen is that they'll be separated into two temporary teams. There'll be one winner from each team, and the person who outlasts all 10 earns the right to have their team go last to tribal council, so then they get a bit of an advantage there to going last. And the immunity challenge itself, you had to pull up on these bar clamps and hold on, and if you moved in a slide, if you gave a little bit of pressure, moved, the ball would drop and you're out. So nobody, this is another thing too, nobody went to go silent tonight. The two teams were separated, and it was Michael, Laurel, Dominic, Wendell, and Kellen. Then the other team was Jenna, Sebastian, Angela, Donathan, and Chelsea. And Dominic and it ended up being Dominic and Wendell left on the orange team, and Chelsea and Angela left on purple. And Angela was hanging in there pretty good. She didn't move the slightest in the game, but then out of nowhere she drops, and Chelsea actually wins her second immunity win. So congrats to Chelsea on that. And it was quite funny because both Dominic and Wendell were talking smack to each other, and it wasn't anything like they were enemies or anything. It was just, talking smack, having fun out there. And Dominic ended up Dominic ended up winning immunity, so congrats to Dominic. He was definitely on fire tonight with that. Well, I guess it's not an idol find, it's a fake idol find, and this immunity win, so he's pretty powerful right now. So, back at camp, Donathan wants to get rid of his idol. Well, Dominic hopes somebody finds his idol. No, it was actually Donathan was debating about using his idol or not, because the Malolos once again are on the bottom. Even with a random tribe situation for immunity, Malolo was still on the bottom. So Donathan was debating if he should use his idol and play it for Jenna. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me right now? Like, save yourself out there. It was talk about if, like, which one of them they should get rid of, and they right away said Jenna, but they wanted to give Jenna the impression they were getting rid of Donathan. And I found it interesting that Sebastian and Jenna were supposedly have this alliance going on, but he was so quick to get rid of Jenna. But apparently it didn't affect them that much, because I heard they're actually dating outside the game. So then Jenna wanted them to pretend, oh, they're voting me off. So she was like giving him this big sob story, like she was showing she was giving up. I wasn't buying that. I mean, I don't know if anybody would buy that. And Donathan told her that he's willing to play his idol for her, and she's calling him an idiot for believing that. Michael then asked Donathan to give him his idol so he can, from what Michael explains, show everybody that he has an idol but not play it. Donathan right away says no, and Donathan was super smart about that, because we all know if Donathan would have given Michael his idol, Michael would have played it for himself, and Michael would have been safe, and then Donathan would have been idolless. So it was very smart of Donathan to keep the idol. Michael then tells Kellen that he has an idol, so Kellen's then a bit paranoid, thinking that Michael could have an idol. And she goes and tells Dominic, and Dominic doesn't believe he has an idol, and he claims because he's very intuitive, and also because Michael didn't show Kellen anything. So there's no proof, so he doesn't believe that he has an idol. Then Kellen then at that point wants to vote off Laurel, because she's what she'd call a safe vote, instead of worrying about trying to get off Michael. When in this past episode, she was the one that wanted to get rid of Michael. Wendell then says he's willing to vote for Kellen to save Laurel, because he doesn't want Laurel to go home. They've been loyal alliances this whole time. Laurel's been loyal to both Dominic and Wendell these votes, and I think this tribal council is Wendell and Dominic's turn to show how loyal they are to Laurel. So Kellen then has her extra vote, and she decides that she is going to use her extra vote tonight to ensure that Laurel goes home. At tribal council number 1, again, it mentions how Malolo's basically has gotten the short end of the stick this whole game. Navidi's been really strong this whole game in the numbers. And Jenna right away wants to vote, and she's kind of like giving off this impression like she's already given up. And even Jeff's is surprised about it. He said this is probably the fewest questions he's ever asked at a tribal council. And yeah, so Donathan ends up playing his idol, but he plays it for himself, and it actually ends up being Jenna that goes home. And all I've got to say about that is, well, who's the idiot now? You know, because she was acting like a freaking bitch at that when she said that about Donovan, saying, oh, he's an idiot because he's believing her. I'm like, well, who's the idiot now? You're the one sitting on the jury. So on tribal council number 2, they again bring up how Navidi's had the numbers this whole game, and it's also brought up how it's easy to make the right move, like make the right. They're talking about a safe vote again. I thought that was interesting coming from Kellen, because they said the safe vote could affect your game. Like, you're the one that just said you wanted to vote safe tonight. Dominic then brings up at tribal that because they were talking about the possibility if Michael were to have an idol, then Laurel would be sent home. And Dominic, again, doesn't believe that Michael has an idol because there's nothing to show for it. And basically, Laurel's whole game right now, is dependent upon of Navidi's read on Michael if he has an idol or not. So, yeah, I'd be freaking out if I was in Laurel's shoes. Kellen does, in fact, use her extra vote for Laurel, and it ends up being a tie between both Michael and Laurel. So, what happens then is that Dominic is immune because he won immunity. Michael and Laurel do not vote. Only Dominic, Kellen, and Wendell vote, and they can only vote for Michael or Laurel, and it ended up being Michael that got sent home. And I gotta say, Michael should be pretty proud of himself. I think he definitely played a great game. I mean, you could definitely tell he played a great game because he got a standing ovation from the rest of his alliance members. So I definitely hope Michael gets asked back. I definitely want to see his Ponderosa video because they're going to be shocked to find out he's actually 18. So yeah, the previews for next week shows that the Navidi tribe, Kellen appears like, I'm going to assume that it looks like she's pissed at Dominic and Wendell, saying that they don't even care, like they didn't vote for her. I mean, she doesn't know that Laurel's on their alliance, but I mean, I think Kellen's being a bit paranoid out there. Like apparently, what she said is that she's going with her gut, but it doesn't seem to be working for us. Just making her more paranoid, and she's just going by emotion. And it looks like it's going to be the Loved Ones episode, and I always enjoy that episode because you definitely get to see a glimpse at who these castaways are outside the game. So I hope you guys enjoyed tonight's double elimination on Survivor. If you guys want to check out Survivor, it is on Wednesdays, 8 p.m. on CBS. Until next time, stay regal.